What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of Inside the Vinyl. I'm your host, Tim Bianconi. If you would go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel below, that would be appreciated. If you could also hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we put out new content, that would be appreciated also. So like I said, this is a special edition of Inside the Vinyl. We won't be looking at a live album or a lost classic like we normally would. This will actually be part of an assignment I have for a class I'm taking called New Media Technologies. So a couple of semesters ago, I decided to go back to school and get my bachelor's degree in communications and had an assignment in regards to Web 2.0, which essentially is the ability of artists to go against the grain of normal promotion and release of albums and art or whatever else. And in this case, I'm going to talk about U2's 2014 Songs of Innocence. So going to take a breather real quick so I can get into presentation mode, and we'll see you in just a second. Thanks a lot. Hi, my name is Tim Bianconi, and this is my New Media Technologies Web 2.0 video presentation. My presentation is going to focus on the band U2 and their 2014 album Songs of Innocence. So Songs of Innocence was released on September 9, 2014. It was part of a deal with Apple that coincided with the release of the iPhone 6, the Apple Watch, and Apple Pay. With this album, they bypassed traditional means of promoting and releasing an album and actually uploaded it to every single iTunes account that existed at that time free of charge. So to give you a brief history on the band, U2 formed in Ireland in 1976. Since their inception, they have consisted of Bono on vocals, The Edge on guitar, Adam Copeland on bass, and Larry Mullen Jr. on drums. Their music has been described as everything from post-punk to early alternative. And they've released a total of 14 albums, 14 studio albums, along with several live and companion greatest hits albums. The first album the album that broke the band was their 1983 album, War, featured the hits New Year's Day as well as Sunday Bloody Sunday. In 1987, they became worldwide superstars with their Joshua Tree album. This contains the smashes With or Without You and Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And in 1991, they released another worldwide smash with Achtung Baby. This album includes The Fly, Mysterious Ways, and One. So throughout the 90s, their album sales did decline just a bit, but they did see a pretty big resurgence in the early 2000s with albums All That You Can't Leave Behind and How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. And current estimates have their worldwide sales sitting at anywhere between 150 and 170 million albums. Their relationship with Apple started in 2004 with an iPod commercial. There was also a special U2 edition of the iPod released at that time. In 2009, they did leave Apple and moved over to BlackBerry for a short time, but soon found their way back to Apple. And in 2014, they were rumored to be part of Apple's fall event, where they were going to announce the iPhone 6, Apple Watch, and Apple Pay. At the time, the band and their management refuted those rumors, but on September 9, 2014, U2 appeared at the event, they performed at the event, and announced that the album would be given away to all Apple and iTunes customers. So this was not the first time a band had given away their music or went against the traditional release cycle. In 2007, Radiohead released an album called In Rainbows. They released it on their website and gave their fans an option to either purchase the album or download the album for free. The following year, punk rock band Pennywise released an album called Reason to Believe in a deal with social media site MySpace, where the album would be available to MySpace users. And in 2009, the Black Crowes released an album called Before the Frost. Now, if you bought the Before the Frost album, it came with a download card to download the companion album Until the Freeze. In each case, all of these were very successful for these bands. And in each case, it's important to note that the fans and consumers were allowed to choose whether or not they wanted to participate and download this music. So as far as the school readings are concerned, the three that I thought correlated with this album release, first would be the Next Digital Decade, which discussed the Web 2.0 movement, stating and suggests that everyone, even the most poorly educated and inarticulate among us, can and should use digital media to express and realize themselves. It empowers our creativity, it democratizes media, and it levels the playing field for experts and amateurs. Basically what that's saying is that all artists, whether amateur or established, could take advantage of the Web 2.0 movement. The next reading I wanted to talk about was the long tail, otherwise known as what I like to call the rabbit hole. So in addition to using Songs of Innocence as a way to thank Apple customers and fans of U2, another way that the release of Songs of Innocence could have been used was as an entry point to send fans and consumers down the rabbit hole of additional Apple products, as well as U2's back catalog and the back catalog of related artists. So in discussing the long tail, the reading said there's the back catalog, older albums still fondly remembered by longtime fans or rediscovered by new ones. So again, part of releasing the album this way was not only to say thank you to the fans, but also send them down the rabbit hole so they could discover the other U2 albums, discover other artists, and possibly even purchase other Apple products. The third reading that I wanted to focus on was the data as an asset. So this essentially talks about how personal information is obtained and how it's used. And one of the interesting quotes from this reading says, "Control over users depends on acquiring contractual rights to collect and use personal data, as well as limiting access through further contractual arrangements and technological restrictions." Once this album was uploaded to everybody's iTunes accounts, there were questions of not only how the information was obtained, but also how their people's personal and private information was used in order to upload this album to everybody's iTunes account. A lot of people were upset with how the information was used, and come to find out, not everybody is a fan of the band U2. So in the aftermath, again, many users were not happy. Not only were there questions about the use of personal and private information, there was also criticism of the album itself. One quote says, "The band was hardly at the peak of their powers with Songs of Innocence, music-wise, not getting the reviews quite as stellar as some of the band's earlier work." So again, there were not only questions of how personal information was being used, but it also brought up questions about the quality of the album itself. Apple did issue instructions on how to remove the album from iTunes. But in providing instructions to remove the album, they also gave you the option to download the album later for free through October of 2014. And via a question and answer session on Facebook, lead singer Bono did issue an apology as well. So in conclusion, what were the results of this free album? Well, on the good side, it was a way to say thank you to the customers, and also could have been used as a way to send them down the long tail. To purchase to discover other music and items. On the negative side, they found out that not everybody's a fan of the band U2, and many were upset by the misuse of personal and private information. So since the Songs of Innocence release, Apple rebounded and continues to thrive. Soon after, they ended the traditional iTunes program and launched Apple Music, which resembles other streaming services like Pandora and Spotify. U2 continues to record and tour, including a 2017 follow-up album called Songs of Innocence, which is available to purchase from Apple Music. And that concludes my Web 2.0 video presentation. Thank you so much. All right, now just on a personal note, Songs of Innocence. So I still have the free album that was given to me via iTunes. I still have it on my I still have it in my my music library. Personally, I don't think it's a very good album. I remember listening to it and thinking this isn't very good, which led me to wonder, did U2 know they were making a really bad album, and in the end decided, instead of trying to sell it to the public, do we just simply give it away and make it look like, hey, here's some free music, and maybe people overlook the fact that it wasn't very good? I'm not sure, but the critics were skeptical of the album. After listening to it, I was skeptical of the album. And to be fair, despite all the vinyl that I have for U2, I would be considered by most to be a very casual fan of the band. I think they have a lot of great songs. I don't think they have a lot of great albums. I think they're the kings of putting 2 or 3 songs on an album that can be sold, and the rest of the album just doesn't hold up. Now, with exception would be the 1991 album Achtung Baby. I do think this album is great start to finish, but most of the other albums, including Joshua Tree, I really don't think are all that great outside of the hit songs. So, since this is called Inside the Vinyl, let's just go ahead and take a look inside this just for shits and giggles. All right, so here's the front cover of Achtung Baby. Here's the back cover with the track listing. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and pull out the contents. Here's a download card. Interestingly enough, here's a lyric sheet. And they actually give you two, two inner sleeves, for your record, that have, pictures and different graphics and stuff on them, like really nice. But then they actually give you your two records inside of nice anti-static sleeves here. So, very neat. Nothing too special here, just 180 gram vinyl. On one side, the sticker has a track listing for this record, and on the other side, just graphics from the cover. So nothing too fancy there, but like I said, Octoon Baby is probably my favorite U2 album, and really one of the only ones that I think is good from start to finish. But that's all I've got for you today. Again, like, comment, share, and subscribe below. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content. I've got the rest of my Inside the Vinyl series where we talk about live albums and lost classics. I've got my Unboxing the Vinyl series where we talk about new releases, reissues, box sets, etc. Sometimes those box sets are vinyl, sometimes those box sets are CDs, who knows. And with fall coming up, I imagine we're going to have a lot of new content to unbox, so stay tuned for that. I've got some live footage from various festivals. Welcome to Rockville, Exit 111. There's a Kiss concert on there, and I just recently uploaded some footage from a Faster Pussycat concert I attended. So check those out. And if you're into disc golf, I've got some very mediocre disc golf videos starring some very mediocre disc golfers, myself included. So like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace out. There you go, boy.